Collecting and assembling vintage guitars is a very enjoyable hobby that comes with a lot of responsibility. It's owning a piece of American history, and it's worth doing your research. If you're collecting, you want to do research to make sure you're not going to get ripped off. If you're putting together one of these guitars from the parts that you can buy on eBay, you're going to want to make sure you're not going to make a costly, time-consuming mistake putting these guitars together. So I would encourage anybody, any player, any collector, any enthusiast to do the research. There's plenty of books and websites to where you can make sure you're not making a mistake or paying too much for one of these guitars. I'll be using vintage Fender guitars as examples. Now, the Fender Guitar Company made many changes to their instruments from year to year. I put together one of these guitars, and I was able to reference a vintage guitar magazine to put together one of these guitars. For example, in 1965, this company started using different tuners. And I was able to see, I referenced a magazine called Vintage Guitar Magazine. So when I bought tuners for this guitar, I bought the right ones, and it made it to where I didn't make a costly mistake damaging the guitar or wasting money on hardware that I didn't need. Saved me from a lot of buyer's remorse. Another example, let's say you're assembling a guitar from the 70s. I have a book called Electric Guitars, an Illustrated Encyclopedia, that showed me that in 1971 they started using this certain style of neck plate, which just takes 3 screws. Normally guitars take 4. So if I was assembling this guitar and didn't know that and bought the wrong neck plate, that would be a waste of money. That would be bad, which is why you need to do your research so you know that you're doing the right thing, buying the right thing, and not drilling extra holes in a guitar body or neck, completely decreasing the value of these instruments. If you're a collector, let's say you have some money to burn and you're looking to buy a vintage Fender guitar with a sparkle finish. Now, sparkle finishes were very rare. You actually had to call the Fender company in Fullerton, California, and special order these guitars. I would say to collectors, just stay away from them, because I read in a book called Fender, The Golden Age, that Fender didn't actually even paint these guitars. They would take them somewhere else. Considering California, it's probably like a car body shop that they would have these sparkle finishes done. There isn't a lot of documentation on this. Like nobody really knows like where they took these guitars to have them painted. So if you see an old guitar with a sparkle finish on eBay and they're asking all kinds of money because they're rare, well, it might be a refinish from 10 years ago or something. You'd really ruin yourself on that one. And with all of this stuff, whether you're assembling, playing, collecting, you also need to know where your serial numbers are located and what they mean. A good reference as far as that goes is a book called Fender, The Sound Heard Around the World, that gives you all your serial numbers. Also, if you are a player on a budget, there's another book called The Ultimate Guitar Book that gives some details about Fender being bought out by the CBS company in 1965. The guitars after 1965 aren't worth nearly as much, making them affordable for poor people like me. So, in conclusion, you need to just do your research. You'll learn something. It's really interesting, and these guitars are worth it. It's a piece of American history. It's really interesting. And if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. again, there's many books and websites. Do your research; it's worth it. You save time and money. Thank you very much.